On Christmas morning of the year 2012, when I thought my family was done opening all of Santa's presents, I found one more hidden underneath the tree skirt. Of course, I tore it open, seeing that my name was on it, and I found a brand new iPod Touch 4, just like the ones that both of my older sisters already had. I was super excited, and they helped me set it up and download a bunch of new apps, including Snapchat and Instagram. I was only 8 years old, and yet I had social media accounts of my own. I was just excited to finally fit in with my siblings, having to stop using their devices instead, begging them to play games, but little did I know the harm that social media could potentially cause me. With a show of hands, how many of you here had social media accounts of your own or devices of your own before we had even entered high school? As expected, that's the majority of people, if not all of you. Recently, in the past couple of years, social media has become increasingly common, and children are gaining access to the internet at a much younger age. In a 2019 study, it was found that kids and teenagers spend, on average, between 5 and 7.5 hours per day on social media. That's almost 8 hours, which would be a third of your day. Like, that's crazy numbers, and that survey was 3 years ago, so the number has only gone up as the pandemic happened. People were turning to social media to cure their boredom and spend more time. And being on the internet for a third of your day is making for access to a lot of content. Some of that content can be good, some may be educational, but of course a lot of it can be harmful. And for children, seeing this harmful fake content on apps like TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram, it can make for them developing a lot sooner than they need to, and it can cause confidence and self-image problems. So when I first got Snapchat back in 2012, this was the kind of stuff that was on there. It was stupid filters that made you look like you were puking rainbows or had dog ears and your tongue would be sticking out. It was all fun and games, but social media is no longer like that. The environment has entirely flipped around and is now toxic, and in a way it's controlling its users, whether or not you realize that. The filters of today aren't like these ones. Instead, they're changing like minor features on a person, but it does so in a way that makes them not look overly fake. It's just realistic enough for people to get away with using them without being made fun of for that. It's just going to make them look like these models, these 20-year-olds who look perfect on social media. And for kids who are downloading these apps nowadays, you get Instagram, you get Snapchat, you get TikTok, and all you see are these people who have filters on. But children don't understand that. They don't realize that it's all fake. They don't know that everything is posed and staged and heavily filtered and edited. So it's inadvertently making these kids try to change themselves to better fit in with the people that they think they need to become. A 12-year-old doesn't need to look like a 25-year-old on TikTok, but of course they're thinking that that's what they need to grow up and develop to look like. So kids then start trying to meet these unattainable standards, and they're going to try to start changing their habits and hiding their features in order to better fit in on the internet. The internet, whether or not you guys have realized, says a lot about things that they think are bad. So the internet tells you certain features are undesirable. If you have them, you should try to change them. And for growing kids and teenagers, this is super harmful. For example, as you're growing up, a lot of people can get stretch marks, but on the internet, that's hidden, it's never shown. Kids are going to try to hide that, thinking that something's wrong with them for having them. They grow ashamed of themselves. Same with things like a thigh gap. That's so hard for a lot of people to have genetically. It's just not possible for everybody, but kids are going to think, oh, I need to have that because this girl does and everyone thinks she's really pretty. They're going to work towards something that they never can achieve. And a lot of girls, you know, when they take pictures, they're sucking in their stomach, they're sticking out their chest, trying to prove to the world that, oh, I can have a flat stomach and have curves, which is apparently, according to the internet, what is most desirable. But this isn't desirable for everybody, and it's not attainable for everybody. So for kids trying to meet this standard, it's super harmful to them. There's other features too, for example, hip dips, maybe a nose that doesn't curve upwards. Like if you have a bump on your nose, the internet tells you that's bad, even though majority of people probably have that. If you have a gap between your teeth, or maybe your jawline isn't perfectly sharp and defined, these are natural things, but on the internet they're shamed. And this shame is then exemplified by a lot of the filters of today, because filters aren't like this anymore, they're more like this. So, for example, this is the inverted filter from TikTok. What it does is flip the camera so that it shows you what you really appear like to other people, because every time that you're looking in a mirror or a phone, the image is flipped. So everyone grows accustomed to seeing themselves one way, and then this filter shows you how everybody else is accustomed to seeing you. If you look at yourself with this filter enough, you're going to get used to it. You're going to realize, oh, you know, it's just been flipped the whole time, but I still am the same person. But for kids, they don't exactly understand this, and they think, oh, you know, my face isn't perfectly symmetrical. I need to fix that. I need to look the same either way so that I'll look perfect to everybody. That's impossible to achieve. It's really harmful for kids to be trying to meet these standards just because of stupid filters like this one. Now, one example I have of social media changing the habits and making a growing teenager insecure is myself. So, especially in quarantine, I turned to my phone and I turned to social media for entertainment. And I did grow addicted to it. And I know that social media can be harmful. I know there's bad content on there and there's bad people, but still, I let it get to me when I never should have. And that's why I'm talking about this with you guys today, hoping that you'll never let it get to you either, and you won't play a part in it affecting anybody else. So when I first got TikTok, I had no idea what hip dips were, but then I heard about it, and I heard that on the internet, hip dips were bad to have. So hip dips are naturally occurring indents on the outside part of your upper leg just below your hip bone. So it's when your hip goes back in like that instead of curving outwards. If you have hip dips, you can't exactly have an hourglass figure, and that's what the internet says is the most desirable feature. So for me, instead of just accepting that my body looked different than some of the bodies of other people, I decided to try to change it. In quarantine, there was this woman who was really popular. Her name was Chloe Ting. A lot of you probably heard of her 10-minute YouTube workout videos. So I started obsessively working out, trying to fix this. She has thumbnails that are saying, oh, fix your hip dips, get an hourglass figure, that's what everybody wants. You shouldn't have to fix this. You shouldn't be encouraged to fix your natural body just because on the internet it may not be desirable. But I didn't understand that. So I tried to change it. And of course, I saw no results. Working out in general, if you have the wrong mindset and are doing it out of hatred for your body instead of love, it's a terrible thing to do. But then I saw no results, and instead of just accepting that this was how I looked, it didn't matter, I decided to change my habits instead to try to compensate. So I stopped wearing certain clothes thinking that they made me look bad. For example, this dress, I bought it and I loved it, and then I heard about this and realized that it didn't do anything flattering for my figure. It just made me look like a door, as they say on the internet. My whole body is one width. I don't have an hourglass figure. I have hip dips. And I thought that was a problem. I tried to fix it. I stopped wearing things that I liked. But today I wore this dress for the first time in like a year, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. People aren't realizing, oh, she has hip dips, you know, she looks terrible. That's not what anybody's thinking. That's only what I was thinking, being overly critical of myself. You should never let the internet tell you what to do. You should never let the internet change your habits. That's super harmful for you. And social media and the internet also can have more serious effects on people, mental and physical. So, of course, if you develop body dysmorphia over being told to change your features, a lot of people are going to start obsessively working out or maybe limiting their eating, starving themselves. And of course, this can lead to serious problems like eating disorders. Nobody should be getting an eating disorder just because of some stupid TikTok filters and people are telling them that they should look a certain way. Also, developing an addiction to social media like I had was worsening my sleep schedule. I was staying up on my phone all night, scrolling through TikTok. I wasn't eating very well because I would just be binge snacking as I was scrolling through. Serious problems like these are making children have to mature faster. For me, I wasn't enjoying myself so much. I wasn't being a child because I was so concerned with how I looked. For a lot of kids, they're not going to be stuffing their face with pizza at a birthday party because they're too worried about the calories that they're consuming. They're not going to be taking pictures and documenting all their memories with their friends because they're worried about if they look fat on camera. Kids should never have to worry about this kind of stuff, and it's seriously maturing them sooner than they need to. Now, for some people, kids maturing early may seem like a good thing, because then you'll have to deal with a bunch of immature children who you don't want to put up with it anyway. Like, I certainly don't want to handle a bunch of immature children all the time. But kids are supposed to be kids. Kids aren't supposed to grow up and become young adults too early. Instead, we need to make sure that we are encouraging children to be their natural selves and letting them grow up to be their unique person that they're going to be. If we nurture children during their most vital time of development, they're going to grow to be stronger people. They're not going to be stronger because they matured at the age of 10. They're going to be stronger if they matured when they were supposed to and at their own pace. And if we nurture children and let them grow up the way that they should, rather than forcing them to grow up sooner to try to fit in with people on the internet, then we're going to make for a whole generation of stronger workers, stronger learners. It's going to make people more comfortable with themselves, they'll be more self-assured, and it's going to lead to a whole generation of strong people who can make our world thrive. Now, we all need to take a part in helping fix the environment that social media has created. We need to make social media wholesome again. It shouldn't be so toxic. Take part in more healthy trends. You may have seen this one.
The songs on the radio are okay, but my taste in music is your face.
Don't be afraid to show the world the real you. Show people how you actually look. Don't show you covered.
The songs on the radio.
Show them the real photos. Don't show them the edited photos that you think you need to show the world. Show the world the real you. Thank you.